Hey, this is Leslie here. I got a quick word for you. I'm in the book of Ruth, and I'm coming to the realization that Naomi was a midwife and a destiny helper. If you are in Genesis, and forgive me because I don't remember exactly where, but in Genesis, the Bible talks about how Puah and Shipra were midwives, right? And they helped the Hebrew women to give birth to their babies. But as I'm reading Ruth, I'm realizing that Naomi was also a midwife. She helped give birth to the lineage of Jesus Christ. She was a destiny helper. See, okay, when you're in the first chapter of Ruth, Naomi is, once you get towards the end of the chapter, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact verse right in front of me, but once you get down towards the end of the chapter, Naomi says, call her Mara, call her bitter, because the Lord had basically dealt her a bad hand, is what she thought. That's what she thought. She thought that God had, she lost her husband. She lost both of her sons. She has to leave Moab. She has to return back home to Bethlehem, Judah. And she is like, in a way, returning with her head held down, and the people come up and they're rejoicing because she's back. They're excited to see her. They're like, is that Naomi? And she's like, call me Mara. Call me bitter. That's what Mara means, bitter. Naomi itself means pleasant, but Mara means bitter, because God has dealt me a bad hand. God has just pretty much left me out there. It's nothing I can do. I can't get married again. I'm older. I can't have sons again. I'm past the point of being able to conceive. And now here I am with my daughter-in-law Ruth, and I told her she should have just stayed where she was, but she came on with me, and I have nothing. Okay, we go to chapter 2, and we realize that Naomi then helps Ruth, sets Ruth up, and I'm not even going to use the, in my opinion, derogatory term of calling her a matchmaker, because she wasn't a matchmaker. The advice, the wisdom that she gave to Ruth so that Ruth could eventually become the wife of Boaz. Naomi was a purpose partner, okay? Like I said, a midwife. She was a destiny helper. She brought these two people together. The entire book of Ruth, everything that these women went through, even though it looked so bad, even though it looked so bleak and disastrous, if you will, to be a widow, to be without your children, and now, because your especially your sons, they would take care of you, and now y'all just two women out here without any husbands, without any children, and God puts you in such a place. He brings you back. He brings you back home. He brings you back to the house of bread. He brings you back to God's country, and he fully takes care of you. He feeds the house of bread. He feeds you in the house of bread, but he feeds you much more. Come on, somebody. He feeds you much more than just bread. He restores your entire life. He gave these women Jesus. He gave these women above and beyond what they expected. They were just going back there trying to get some food, right? They were just trying to go back and this is a word I feel like for I feel like this word is for my older or my seasoned women, okay? You are not too old. And you are not barren. You may not be able to physically give birth, but you are not barren. You are helping to give birth to so much. You are helping to give birth to ministries. You are helping to give birth to Christians. You are helping to give birth to the kingdom of God. Naomi was a destiny helper. She helped these people come together, and subsequently, the line, like I said, of Jesus Christ was formed. You have no idea. You have no idea what you mean to God. You have no idea the push and the help that you are, the assignment that God has on your life, even in later life. Please don't think that you are too old to be of use to God. Don't succumb to, this is what I don't have, this is what I haven't been able to do. Literally, Naomi was kind of like on her last leg. This was like a last ditch effort, if you will. Like, this was like, I'm going back. Hopefully I can find some help there. But she ended up being so much help. She ended up being the link, the connection, if you will, between Ruth and Boaz. Did Ruth know to do these things that Naomi told her to do? Did she know to lay at Boaz's feet? Did she know to, work his fields? She didn't have that connection. She didn't know these people. These people didn't know her. It was Naomi. It was Naomi. Older women, you are going to connect. I don't know if it's your daughters. I don't know if it's your friends' daughters. I don't know. Maybe young women in church. Older women, you are going to connect younger women to such amazing promises. And they're going to be forever, eternally grateful. And you are going to hold these promises like a newborn baby. And it I feel this. For someone, there's an older woman who does not have children, just like Naomi. She no longer has children, and she never had children, and she's going to be able to be the grandmother. Oh my God. She's going to be able to be the grandmother to a baby that she never knew was coming. Never knew was coming. If you really want to be real about it, she really didn't have any biological connection to that baby. Elimelech was Naomi's husband, but he died. But Boaz was the relative of Elimelech. So Naomi did not necessarily have an actual biological blood tie to, I believe his name is Obed. Yeah, Obed, the baby that Ruth and Boaz had. But she was the grandmother to that baby. Older women, your promise is going to be connected to your obedience, to the wisdom that God has given you. Ruth did not have the wisdom and the foresight and the insight to do what Naomi told her to do. That's not what God, how do I say? That's not what she was going to do, right? But because she had become obedient to Naomi, she followed her directives. She followed the advice and the wisdom that she gave her, and it all worked out in her favor. This whole story is really about redemption. It's so much in this story. It's love. It's God redeeming his people. Ruth wasn't even his. Ruth was a Moabite woman. She didn't believe in God until she got with Naomi, when she became a part of that family. And so, yeah, they lost husbands, sons, but they gained so much more in this journey. Oh my goodness. Continue to press on in your journey of life. Older women, it doesn't matter how old you are. That's the key to it. See, Papa Cindy, that's actually the key to it. The fact that you are older, you have wisdom. You have, not all older people do, but for who this is for, you have wisdom that God has given you, and it is not going to fall by the wayside. It is not just going to go. It's not going to be wasted. You're going to impart the wisdom that you have from what you've been through in your life. Maybe the marriage, maybe the failed marriage, maybe you're a widow now, maybe you've had children, maybe you've lost children, maybe you've fallen out with children, and you think, I'm never going to be able to have grandchildren, or I'm not going to be able to see the grandchildren that I have. God's going to give you children, right? They may not necessarily be yours biologically, but he's going to give you, oh my God, just like he did for Abraham. He said your descendants are going to be more numerous than the sand. He's going to give you, I had the word progeny, Progeny, and I believe that means like to have children. Children are your progeny. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm just going. But God is going to pour out a blessing, and it's going to be a generational blessing, because where Naomi's generation looked like it had ended, God extended. God extended And it wasn't just children, right? But it was leading up leading up to Jesus Christ, to be in the line, to be in the lineage, to be forever recognized as having been a part of the from from going from being a widow and having basically nothing to being a destitute widow to being a part of the lineage and the line of Jesus Christ. I hope this is making sense. But again, this is a word for my older women. Don't discount what God can do with you now. If you don't have nothing else, you have the wisdom of Jesus Christ. If you belong to him, you have the wisdom of God. And God will impart such wisdom into you and give you such a plan and give you such understanding that you'll be able to impart it into these younger women. And you will see their lives flourish. And because of what you have imparted to them, your life too will flourish. A 180, not a 360. Okay, a 180. Their lives did a 180 because Naomi listened to God and gave that information to her daughter. Not daughter-in-law, but to her daughter. That's the word.